What's up everybody, it's Matt Karma, and in this video what I'm going to be breaking down are the 7 different things that you need to lose instead of your physical weight. You see, a lot of people might be trying to lose weight right now, but what I've found from my own experience, and for those of you who don't know, I was a personal trainer for 6 years. During that time and during my own personal experience, what I found is that weight gain is almost never the problem. Weight gain is usually a symptom from an underlying problem. Weight gain is never usually the problem. Usually it's just a symptom from something that is much bigger going on underneath. And until we find out the actual weight that you need to lose instead of your physical weight, what's probably going to happen is your weight will yo-yo, up and down, up and down, up and down, until we go into the root cause of why you keep eating food in the first place consistently. And I'm not, that might sound a little bit weird, but what I mean by this specifically is that majority of you know why weight gain happens. Yes, it's because you're eating more and so on. But it's not, I'm not talking about the how, I'm talking about why is it that you keep turning to food. And yes, for some people, it might just be a lack of education. For some people, it might just be because of habit from growing up in a household where your parents or whoever it was that raised you was constantly eating unhealthy foods. So you just borrowed their habits and you started to adopt everything that their lifestyle. But majority of the time, that's not the case. So what I want to go through is these 7 things. As I'm going through these 7 things, I want you to identify which one out of these 7 or which combination out of these 7 is resonating with you the most, because once you identify it and once you become aware of it, then you can change it. We can't change something if we're not aware of the pattern, right? So here is the first thing. The first thing is losing the weight of trying to please your parents. And what I mean by this specifically is all of us have a parent whose loves that we craved the most growing up. And it created our beliefs, it created our identity. We were trying to live up to the expectations of who we thought we had to be for that parent whose love that we craved the most. So if you grew up with a parent who was, and you thought you had to be someone who was perfect all the time, then you might have perfectionist tendencies where everything has to be perfect. You might even be looking at the background, you're like, there's a bottle there and that needs to be in the bin. Like all of these, why is it that you think the way that you think? Why is it that you believe the way, the beliefs that you have? Why is that? It's because you created that to live in alignment with the expectations of what you thought you had to be for that parent. And until we lose that, we're always going to be living our life to subconsciously please that parent or whoever that caregiver was, and you're always going to be carrying that weight with you. And what's going to happen is you're probably going to choose partners not based on what you want, but based on what you think your parents want. You're not going to choose a career based on what you truly want. You're going to give up that dream because your parent might want you to be an accountant. Your parent might want you to be this type of person. Your parent might want you to study this type of subject, but deep down you're like, I don't want to study this subject. I don't want to go into this job. So you're going to carry that weight with you and you're going to use food as a way to numb yourself because you're not living in alignment with your core values. You're not living in alignment with what you truly want. So that's the first thing, losing the weight of trying to please your parents. That's number 1. The second thing that you need to lose is the weight of constantly saying yes to others, but then saying no to yourself. Because when you have this tendency to please others, you're saying yes to them, but no to what your soul wants. And you're gonna give up the pleasure of self-care because you want to make others happy. But in return of making others happy, you are making yourself severely unhappy. And when that happens, it creates unhappiness. And when you are unhappy, what you might be turning to is food as a way to make yourself feel better. So you can know what to do to lose weight, but until you get rid of that pattern, or until you even just become aware of that pattern, that you're constantly putting others first instead of yourself first, your weight's probably always gonna be yo-yoing. So that's the second thing. The third thing is losing the weight of not going after your dream career. I worked with a lot of clients. This is one of the biggest patterns out of all the 7. A lot of people would be in a career that they don't love and they don't feel like they have that passion for what it is that they're doing. They don't feel like they have that control of living a career where they truly want to be, they even truly want to be in it, and they're in a career that doesn't feel like it has any deep meaning. And part of our human nature is to live a life of meaning, to live a life where we're contributing towards society, or we're contributing towards a greater cause. And if your career right now you're not meeting that need of contribution, you're not meeting that human need of connection, and you're doing that 8 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, or even if you're doing that 4 hours a day, three days out of the week, it's going to create severe unhappiness. And to battle that unhappiness, you might be turning to food. Also, what's probably going to happen is dopamine levels are going to be down in your brain, and you're going to find that you're not going to have that drive to go after what it is that you truly want. You're not going to even have that drive to go to the gym, because the brain chemistry is different compared to someone who is truly happy. So your motivation levels are going to be different because your brain chemistry is different, because you're in a career that you don't actually love. And the biggest illusion that people fall into is that they can't go after what it is that they truly want. They can't combine their passion with income. You can get paid for living your dream life. You can get paid for doing those things that you truly love doing. I'm just going to adjust the camera a little bit. The fourth thing to lose is the weight of presenting to the world that you're fine when inside you're not. This is a huge thing. A lot of people might be posting on Instagram that they're living their life, that they're happy with a smile on their face, the filter's on, but inside, behind that filter, behind that photo, behind that Instagram story, inside they're dying. And sometimes, this is especially to men, by the way. Not just, this is to everyone, but especially to men. Men have been taught, the majority of the world has been taught, that it's okay to not be okay. And because this belief is so driven, the very moment that we aren't feeling okay, we hold it in. We become a lone wolf. This was my biggest pattern in the past. That when I wasn't feeling okay, I'm gonna hold it in and I'm not gonna share with anyone. But a problem shared is a problem halved. And when we reach out for support, I don't know why this camera is being all over the place right now. When we just share what's coming up for us, the problem becomes halved, which means the weight of that problem becomes halved, because now we have support. So sometimes to battle this challenge, one, it's becoming aware of it, but two, it's being able to share with someone what's actually going on with you. Maybe for some of you, you need to get some professional help. Whether that's going to a therapist, whether that's going to a counselor, whether that's joining our Deep Ends program where we go super deep. I'll leave the link in my bio for those of you who want to get some support from me. But getting help, don't do this alone. So that's the fourth thing. The next thing is losing the weight of living a life that looks good on the outside, but on the inside, it doesn't feel so good. It looks good on the outside, but inside it feels bad. And this usually comes from living not in alignment with your values. For some of you, you have been valuing materialistic items. Maybe you have been valuing presenting your self-image in a way that isn't actually you. And it looks good on the outside, but inside it just doesn't feel good at all. It's kind of like you have, imagine this fridge, right? If I have this fridge in the background and I make it really, really shiny, on the outside people might go, wow, it's a nice shiny fridge. But what if inside I left that food that was in there for months? It would all be rotten and it would be smelling like crap. And for a lot of people, that's what's currently happening. On the outside, it might look all good. But when you open them up, when you start to find out what's actually going on inside, it doesn't look that good. It doesn't feel that good. So if that's you, it's starting to go and say to yourself, am I living in alignment with my values? Am I valuing things that are making me unhappy? The next one is a huge one that I used to suffer with for a really long time, and that is losing the weight of the addiction that is currently ruining your life. For 70 to 80% of you who are watching this video right now, there is an addiction that you might be carrying with you throughout your daily life, and it's sapping your energy. It might be binge eating. For those of you who don't know my story, I was addicted to porn for a really, really long time. And it would be linked to my binge eating habits. So maybe for you, it might be drugs. Maybe for you, it might even be social media. And by being on social media all the time, you compare yourself to other people. And because from that comparison, it doesn't make you feel good, so you turn to food as a way to deal with this emotion. So maybe there's an addiction for you that is currently having a lot of energetic weight. And maybe that might be the thing that you need to lose. And the last one, I believe, is probably the most important out of all of them, and that is losing the weight of the undealt with trauma since childhood. When we think about trauma, some people think about going to war, and some people think about sexual abuse and all these different things, and all that is trauma. But sometimes trauma could be your parents not saying that I'm proud of you. It could also be someone not saying I love you enough to the expectations of what you thought enough was. Sometimes it could be your parent not showing up to your game if you were playing some type of sport. That could be a trauma. And we all have a number of different traumas. And when we have these undealt with big traumas, food can sometimes be an easy way to deal with this emotion, to deal with these emotional bruises, to deal with this trauma. And a lot of the time, some people might be aware what these traumas are, or some people don't know what these traumas are. And that's what's even scarier. I'll tell you a quick little story. Some of you might have heard me speak about this, but I've worked with a number of people over the past, and there was a pattern for a lot of women that I was working with in the past, and now, where a lot of people, for those of you who don't know, have been sexually abused. It's a very huge thing. And what happens is, from people who have been sexually abused, it might be carrying around these feelings of guilt or shame. And also what happens, there is something in psychology called secondary gain. And secondary gain is when you receive some type of benefit for holding onto a problem or holding onto some type of life circumstance or an emotion. And with some women that I worked with, they knew what to do to lose weight, and they would lose weight, but they'd always find a way to self-sabotage to get back to the weight that they were once at when they first started, with some type of personal trainer in the past, or when they were just going, trying to lose weight by themselves. And when they worked with me, because I work with the subconscious, because I go into the root cause rather than trying to work on the surface, we found out that a lot of women linked up in their brain that by me losing weight, then now I am sexy. And for some of them, they would start to get attention from men or women, and what would happen is they would start to have this trauma come back up. So subconsciously, they linked up looking sexy means being sexualized, and being sexualized is now more of an opportunity for men or women to see me in this particular way, and I have a trauma of looking too sexy or being sexualized because of what happened when I was 4 years old, because of what happened when I was 8 years old, because of what happened when I was 12 years old. I was sexually abused, and I don't want that to ever happen again, so I'm going to gain my weight back subconsciously to protect myself from that ever happening again. All of us have traumas. The question is that trauma that maybe you have been through as a child the root cause of why you might be constantly gaining weight, or why you might be turning to binge eating? And if you do need some support with this, if you do want to heal yourself from trauma, if you do want to gain clarity what your life purpose is and turn your passion into something that you get paid for, if you do want to remove these limiting beliefs, these patterns of constantly gaining weight all the time or constantly binge eating, there's a number of things that you can do. Number one, watching this video is huge. But number two, what I do invite you to do is check out my Deep Ends program. because I don't think that I can help people with these challenges. I know that I can help people with these challenges because I've been through them myself and I know what it was that helped me get out of that. And I've helped so many people overcome these challenges. So I'll leave a link in my bio for those of you who want more help with this. Check it out, and if it resonates with you, apply for the program, the Deep End program. This is not a surface level program. We go deep and we go into the root causes of why these challenges happen in the first place. So I really hope that this video has helped you. If it did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Leave a comment down below letting me know which one out of these 7 resonated with you the most. And subscribe if this is the first time watching this video, seeing my channel, because I've released videos just like this every single week. So until I see you all in the very next video, remember to love all living beings and most importantly, love thyself.